If you're a homeowner that dreads the rainy season, you can't stand your yard, it's time to get your yard back. If you watch this whole video, I drop a lot of knowledge and I show you everything that it takes to dry up a yard like this. In this video, we're going to show you how to take a yard with negative slope, a yard that you can't gravity drain and get the water out. We're going to show you how to collect that water, take it to an outdoor sump pump pit, and we're going to show you how to run the discharge line under a sidewalk to a street curb. I'm dropping a lot of tricks and tips in this video. This yard holds a lot of water, and it's flat. We can't get the water to the front yard gravity, so we're going to use a pump system. We're also grabbing the roof runoff system. We're putting that in our French drain system. So you're going to see a solid pipe for the roof runoff system. You're going to see a perforated pipe for the French drain system. Now we have this main. This is the trunk line. We're branched off of the trunk line. Now when you're using perforated pipe like this, you can use a T. In yard drains, in roof runoff systems, when you're using a solid pipe, I always use a Y. I preach use a Y. We're only going 5 to 10 feet, branching off of the trunk line in several areas. We only need a T. This is not a high volume application at all. This is actually a perfect example of how to use a T correctly in a low volume situation. Perforated pipe, teed off of the trunk line. You can see the branches. Got a lot of water sitting in the back here, so we're just branching up in there. See, we can't run our French drain system along these cedar. You know, we just can't. They're going to take them out. We got copper sulfate in here, and we basically copper lined our non-woven geotextile filter fabric. We're going to keep the roots out of this branched French drain. We have this nice branched off French drain going in between the trees to grab up all the water that's laying on the back fence line. We've done everything we can to protect this system. We want to make sure this system lasts a lifetime. Right here we got two branched areas off the main, so we use the cross T. We're branched off here, we're branched off here. Here's our main. We also had another downspout off the garage. When this rain barrel is full, the water starts going into our system. We have our vented downspout leaf filter. We got a big tree here, so we want to catch all the leaves. We could always pull the center, run a camera through here if we have to. It's vented so that if it freezes and we have a thaw, water can get off the roof without bending the gutter trough. What happens if you don't get water off the roof and you have a thaw? This gets really heavy because water, for round numbers, is about 8 pounds per gallon. This is going to give this an unsightly look as it pulls away from the fascia board. That's what happens. So that's why we vent them, and we vent them so that it works like the vent on a gas can. It helps it pick up its flow. It increases the flow rate. So this right here is a beautiful vented downspout clean out leaf filter. And if you don't want to catch the leaves, this is removable and you can just use it for a clean out only. It doesn't have to catch the leaves. Really nice way to access your line, run a garden hose through and flush it. Of course, we're catching the shingle gravel with our inline catch basin. We got a solid cover on that. In the event that our basin does hold water, I don't want mosquitoes breeding and they become a mosquito hatchery. So this is a solid line. The solid line comes into our French drain system. So I wanted to show you the difference. So that's going to be flowing a volume of water. So we're using a Y. We're using a Y fitting so that we have the water moving in the direction of flow. Now a T over here, the water would just slam to a stop, and that wouldn't be good for the system. We'd lose our velocity. Here, it's a low flow application, just a trickle. We're going to grab water, and it's about 10 feet, no more. We're going to grab some water. We're branched off the main. We're going to be pulling in all that water. T's are fine. Perfect example of how you use a Y and why you use a Y, and how you can use a T and where a T should be used. T's should only be used in low flow applications like you see here. As the guys get deeper, they're adding more pipe. You can see they added a third pipe to the trench. We got a second perforated pipe. the pipe's going to give you more air, more void, which gives this guy a hard time. Tree roots don't live in a big open pocket of air. They don't do well. You can air prune them off during the drought season. So we want to build this to where if roots do penetrate the system, they'll get air pruned off come the drought season. We build a system to last the homeowner a lifetime. None of our systems fail in a lifetime. They're all built to last a lifetime. The trench gets deeper and deeper as you run over here. You can see how deep it is. Valente's down in the trench, and you can see it's chest high on him. Got a real deep outdoor sump pump system that we're going to put in here. We're going to lift all that water, and we're going to inject it out to the front yard and let it run down the street. What I love about using an outdoor sump pump system is you can put a lot of slope on your system. We're going by that tree, so we have to have slope. We have slope on the roof runoff system. We have slope on the French drain system. The French drain starts with just 2 pipes at the bottom of the trench. Then it goes to 3, then it goes to 4, and then it ends at 5 pipes in this trench. That's how deep we were. You can see how deep the men are in this sump pump basin pit. It's up to their chest when they're down inside that sump pump basin pit. We added chamber to the sump pump basin. This is going to be a big yard drain system. We have 1/2-inch inlets on the end of our outdoor sump pump basin chamber. This will not short cycle. This is going to hold a lot of water. The advantage is to having more horizontal chamber for water capacity versus vertical chamber for capacity. You can go to a larger diameter in a vertical chamber in a sump pump pit. You can go to a 24-inch round, but you're not going to get the pump to stop short cycling like you will if you have horizontal chamber. That's why we run horizontal chambers, so that sump pump doesn't turn on and off, on and off, on and off. Sump pump failure is at the switch. Got our electric conduit ran. This is going to be on its own separate circuit, so nothing can blow it. We're running out to the front. We're going to grab the front downspout. We're going to run 4-inch out to the curb. The homeowner's going to get a big upgrade. Here was the original system, and we're going to use our vented clean out leaf filter along with some heavy duty pipe. Now we had a 3-inch Schedule 40 sleeve that we put our 1.5-inch Schedule 40 flex through. I love this 1.5-inch Schedule 40 flex because I can buy it in 50 or 100-foot lengths. So I have no connections to come apart. I have no glue joints that can crack and leak. But I don't want it to end up with a belly and then freeze in the winter. So we put it through 3-inch Schedule 40, nice sleeve. The PVC will crack in the wintertime if we try to use that. So that's why we don't use PVC here in the north. So we have an 1.5-inch piece of PVC, this little bit of stub. This is to help make our connections. If water froze in this line, which is impossible, it can't, we have 8 inches of drop on one end. We have more than that going the other way. This is the high point. We pump the water out of the backyard and we come up probably more than a foot. Then we pitch it and we got 7.5 inches of drop to the street once we make it to this point. Water can't freeze in here. Water will never be in here. We make our connections with a no-hub fitting, and then here we just have this rubber boot that goes 1.5 to 4-inch. Works really well. We find this to work really well. Now, hypothetically, if this did freeze, let's just say this was used in a manner incorrectly and it froze. You're going to get expansion out of the HDPE pipe here. You're going to get expansion out of the flex line over here, and this won't crack or split. The pressure will be alleviated that way. So we did think of everything, all the fail safes, all the failure modes. We thought it through, but we've been doing it like this, I don't know, got to be 5, 6, 7 years now. This is the best way to go from an 1.5-inch discharge line to a 4-inch pipe. Remember, we're going to be going downhill from this point. We pumped all the water out of the backyard. It's going uphill out of the backyard, and then right here is where it's going to break. The men built a quad pack. We're deep enough for a quad pack. We got 2 perforated pipes on the top. Underneath these 2, there'll be 2 more. One's solid, one's perforated. You don't have to tape connections to a perforated pipe. You're trying to let the water in, so you're not worried about that. Now, if we needed to put a connection on the solid pipe, we would tape it. So in a lot of my videos, people say, hey, you didn't tape that connection. Well, this all virgin external coupler for 4-inch corrugated pipe, it's made with these springed, barbed connections. You can't get it apart. You have to cut it off. So you don't need to tape it. Most fittings, you do have to tape, or they just come apart in the freeze and thaw when the ground heaves and it moves around. But this will never disconnect. You don't need any tape on that connection. We use a 5-inch hole saw, and we get this amazing fit for a 4-inch corrugated pipe. We have this extra heavy-duty sidewall, and it goes in a 5-inch hole made by a 5-inch hole saw. The outside diameter is a lot bigger than the inside diameter on this pipe. Only hook up your solid pipes. No need to hook up your perforated pipes. It's a fully encapsulated system. There's no garbage or debris that could possibly float through the perforated pipe. So all 3 perforated pipes, we just plug them so they don't fill with stone. All the water is going to come gushing out of the perforations. There's 17¼ inches of inlet and or outlet per linear foot on our high octane. This is a beautiful example. They actually have a 5th pipe in here now that I'm looking at it. To show you guys what this looks like. So we're plumbed right out of the side. We're below grade. This is on an angle up, so it's not a belly. This is our full frame Screaming Demon. You can see how this is below grade, coming up on an angle. That's what we want. And we got a 3-inch Schedule 40 sleeve. Beautiful job. Really nice work. No water can hang around in that line. It's impossible. And we got so much slope on this trench. The trench bottom is so sloped, that's why we were so deep. No water can lay in a trench that's sloped that much. The guys are putting sand on the non-woven geotextile filter fabric. We want to up the infiltration rate, and until the grass blades are growing through the fabric, we want the water to be able to find its way through the non-woven geotextile filter fabric. It's double punched. It has a lot of holes so that the roots can grow in the fabric, through the fabric. Water can fall through gravity and capillary action. It's going to work great. Now, I'll tell you something that we had to learn, and we learned this over time. That sand is going to help you not just in the beginning while you're waiting for your roots to grow through your fabric, but that sand's going to help you when the trees get so big that it kills all the grass. That's what happens when there's too much shade. You can't grow grass under these big trees. As they become bigger and bigger, they rob the grass of all its nutrient and sunlight, and then your drain starts working, worse and worse every year as the grass recedes. That sand is going to protect you from that. It's going to keep your system working very efficiently. Beautiful. So instead of a quad pack, these guys have a 5th pipe. They just got so deep they needed it. Beautiful, beautiful work. Anytime you build a French drain that's 2 pipes wide, that French drain will be guaranteed to last you a lifetime. When you go wider like that, you have more pipe, you have more stone. When the tree roots try to get in it, they can't hurt you. A little bit of wood inside all that pipe and stone is not going to stop this drain from working. If it was a single pipe system, where you just take a trencher, make a narrow groove, you put 1 pipe in with a little bit of stone, the tree is going to clog that. You're not going to have a drain for too long. But what we have learned is if you go this wide with your French drain system and use this much pipe and stone, that French drain is going to last you a lifetime, guaranteed. What sand does when you put sand on top of your French drain system that has a non-woven geotextile filter fabric that has been double punched, it allows for really good infiltration of surface water. French drains a lot of times are criticized for not being able to take in surface water that well. A yard drain takes in surface water really well because a yard drain has catch basins. Totally different system. But how do we make our French drain system take in surface water? We put sand on the non-woven geotextile filter fabric so that it doesn't clog. Now, when the roots grow through the fabric, the water just falls right through into the French drain system. The water travels down the roots, but it's going to be a while before the grass roots grow through the non-woven geotextile filter fabric. So we want to keep that infiltration of that surface water flowing freely down into our French drain system until the grass has matured. And then when the tree gets really big and it robs all the nutrients from the grass and all the sunlight, and the tree roots recede and go away, that sand is going to be there forever. So we're always going to be able to take in surface water with this French drain system. When we build a French drain system to an outdoor sump pump system, it's very common for us to use two types of rock. In this example, you're going to see a 3/4 inch round rock locking all that tubing together. You want to use a 3/4 inch round rock for a quad pack. With all that tubing, you want to lock it in place. You're going to need some smaller stone. Now, for the outdoor sump pump system, you don't want to use that smaller stone because it's going to end up getting sucked into those 1/2 inch inlets, and then your pump is going to be garbage when it's been, sucking up stones. It's going to destroy the impeller. So these are 1.5 inch round rock. They're as big as an egg. A lot of them are golf ball shaped, egg shaped, and they're as big as an egg. They're 1.5 inches. You can see how big that stone is. We don't have to worry about stone getting into our outdoor sump pump system and hurting our pump. Now, we have a sump viewer that we always put so that the homeowner doesn't have to take the lid off all the time to look in, because homeowners are very curious whether or not there's any water in their system. They want to make sure that it's working. So you want them to be able to look down and see that the water is pumped down and that the pump is performing its best. Now, you see the large rock to your left towards the pump, and then the 3/4 inch stone on the French drain to the right. There's your two different stones, and that's where they meet, right there. Perfect example on how you build an outdoor sump pump system and a quad pack, and you merge them together. We're going to show you how to run the discharge line underneath the front sidewalk and out to the curb. We're also going to show you how to drain a pop-up emitter. That's something that people talk about all the time, how a pop-up emitter can leave some water in the line. So we're going to show you how to drain a pop-up emitter that's at the curb. So we have a couple of tricks we're going to share with you in this video. So you definitely want to stay to the end. And we're also going to let you know where we purchased some of the tools that we used to get underneath the sidewalk. We can get under a sidewalk in 2 minutes. And we're going to show you how we did that. We're going to show you an auger that you use on a big angle drill. Look at how easy this goes underneath the sidewalk. It doesn't matter what the soil type is. You're going to be able to go under a sidewalk in a matter of 2 minutes. This is the easiest way to drill underneath a sidewalk. If I was a DIYer and I had to go underneath a sidewalk in 2 or 3 places, it's worth the price of this auger. I'm going to share with you where you can get this auger. It's a custom auger, and they make them by order. I'm going to give you all the information so that you can order one of these augers for your company or for your project. It's a wonderful small business, I believe out of Ohio. And I'm going to give you their phone number, their email. I'm going to show you their website so that I can direct you guys to this custom auger company, this small business, kind of a mom and pop business. And they do a wonderful job. You want to ask for Becky. Ask for Becky. The phone number is 865-585-7861. Their Gmail is customaugers@gmail.com. You can call Becky's number direct at 865-586-7861. Tell her that Robert at the French Drain Man told you to give her a call. Now we can get this pop-up emitter to the curb. I'm going to show you how to drain what's left for water in the line when you use a pop-up emitter to a curb. This is going to work even in areas that don't allow a curb hole, because the majority of the water is going to come out of the pop-up. What the men did is they took an 1.5-inch piece of PVC and they went ahead and they used a hole saw. They have a pop-up emitter fitting, and at the bottom of it is an 1.5-inch piece of PVC. Now here at the curb, a really small hole was made in the curb. Now if you live in an area that doesn't allow curb holes, you'll be able to get away with this. It doesn't draw any attention. When the sump pump turns on, it won't shoot up into the street. This really mellows it out. When the water builds up in the line, it'll start coming out the pop-up emitter. It really mellows out the flow of the water. You can see that the pop-up emitter is up. We have a 4-inch line. We have an 1.5-inch sump pump discharge line to a 4-inch line. A downspout is also on this line. The 1.5-inch is not going to let very much water through. It's really mellowed out. You can see the water pouring over the curb coming out of the pop-up emitter. This is so that you don't draw attention to yourself. In the event in the wintertime that there's ice buildup at the curb, the water can come out of the pop-up. When the sump pump turns off, the pop-up lid will go down. The 1.5-inch PVC that's through the curb will drain the line out completely. This is really important in northern climates. You don't want to leave water behind in the line, because when the weather gets cold, it's going to freeze. Then when you have a thaw and your outdoor sump pump system needs to run, it's not going to be able to discharge the water. It's going to end up burning up the pump, and you're not going to end up draining all that thawed water. If we have a warm-up, it's very common when we have a warm-up and a thaw to then have rain on top of that. Your sump pump discharge line for your backyard outdoor sump pump system is going to need to be able to flow water. I always recommend running your 1.5-inch discharge line to at least a 3-inch pipe. In this case, we ran it to a 4-inch pipe out to the curb. When water displaces over a larger area and a larger diameter pipe, it mellows it out. That way you're not shooting the water out into the street, upsetting your neighbors. Right here's the downspout that we tied into that line. What's nice about doing this is if we do have a freeze up at the curb, we can then go inside this clean out, remove the center portion of that screen, and we can run hot water through the discharge line. And then we can thaw out the frozen ice at the curb. 2 things I recommend for every discharge line: a clean out, like you see here, and also have it vented upstream. And the way we put that pop-up emitter in, that's venting it upstream. So if the curb freezes, it can come out the pop-up emitter. This yard will never flood again. If you found any of this information helpful, give us a thumbs up. It supports the channel. I'm your host, Robert Sherwood, and until the next video.